United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, welcome everybody. Good evening. Glad to have all of you here. I need a motion to approve the agenda with personnel consent being moved up to before the board. The board is for new business. So motion. Very good. Second. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. All right. You gonna call it or?
Yeah.
Okay. All those.
Okay. Burr?
Yes.
Vera?
Yes.
Siren? Worley? Yes. Raven?
Yes.
Crowd?
Yes. We got an action item out of closed session. You got closed session minutes?
Yes, it's in there.
Closed session minutes? No closed session minutes.
No.
Okay. All right. We have a resolution, whereas the Board of Education has received reports from the superintendent regarding the job abandonment of Jessica Hamer, a paraprofessional in the district, and whereas it is the recommendation of the superintendent that Jessica Hamer's employment shall not be continued. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education does hereby terminate or determine that the employment of Jessica Hamer shall terminate as of April 23rd, 2019. Board of Education hereby further authorizing and directing the President and Secretary to give Jessica Hamer written notice of such termination. Do I have a motion for that?
I make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you. Ashley.
Vera? Siren? Burr?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Raven?
Yes.
Crowd?
Yes. Moving on, communications. 6-1, good news, Special Olympics sports run.
Woo!
We got some athletes here tonight. Floor's yours.
We got a notification that the board would like to acknowledge our Special Olympic athletes. We have several athletes here from the Chatham Chargers, which encompasses all of Sangamon County. We're gathering more and more athletes from the school district, but we also incorporate many children and athletes from other school districts, which is what happens here. Region H encompasses 11 counties. It used to be just 5 counties, and which was like 300 athletes, and now we're up to 800 athletes. So this was a big deal for our athletes to have 2 senior teams and a high school team. The senior team, one of the senior teams, red, correct, got gold, and the white team took silver, and our high school team took gold. And also we had many skills level athletes, basketball players that play skills that took also gold, that had that accomplishment. So we're very honored and privileged to be with you here at your board meeting and to be acknowledged by the school board. So thank you. And all our athletes, if you could please stand and get the acknowledgement that you deserve. So all our athletes. We started 16 years ago with Marianne McNeese. I think they know her, with Hannah, who is a Down syndrome. They moved to Pennsylvania because of them getting up in age and Hannah being now introduced to her siblings. So if anything that happened to family, that she would be taken care of. And so we miss them greatly. So about 3 years ago, Marianne asked me if I would take over her legacy, and I have. So we went from about 15 athletes to now we're sporting about 54. And it's because of inclusion of our physical therapists, our occupational therapists, our special ed departments here in Chatham, the support of our administration, the support of our school board, the support of our athletic department at the high school level. So it takes a village. Yeah, and I actually got back from Abu Dhabi. I got to represent Illinois Law Enforcement Torch Run. All Illinois law enforcement officers in Abu Dhabi for the World Games, which was over 7,500 athletes from around the world, 112 law enforcement officers that ran the torch throughout the desert of the Emirates for 14 days and spread the word of Special Olympics and law enforcement torch run and the inclusion, the respect, and the determination that these athletes have, which is amazing. So not only have I been serving for over 30 years with Special Olympics, but on the law enforcement torch run aspect of things, but it's just a wild ride. So going from the local level to the state level and now to the world level just brings so much back to our community, and we just continue to love to help it grow. And Illinois is ranked #2 in the world with Special Olympics, and we hope to be #1 by 2021, raising over $1 billion to benefit our athletes in this state. So we're doing good stuff here. So whenever you see Special Olympics or want to volunteer, help, donate, jump on board. It's the best ride you'll ever have.
I would like to publicly thank Diane. I'm Randy, by the way. We stole Diane from her retirement after she left the state police. Brought her into the school district. She was going to teach, and we talked her out of that. So she's working security for us now, and we're extremely proud of her and what she's done, not just for the community, but for the district and the families, but especially for these kids. I mean, you've been a fantastic mentor for these young people, and it's good to see. So, as a friend, I just wanted to publicly say thank you and keep up the good work.
Randy, thank you. Diane, thank you. Athletes, proud of you guys. Great job.
Certainly take any picture I can get.
You want to line up in front of the school?
Yeah, do that. How
Okay,
about
line them up.
Athletes, some of you, squeeze in, you can throw to the
Follow Diane, follow Justin.
Oh, yeah. That's okay, I'll just
Yes. You know what? I'm gonna.
You're good. You're good.
Am I okay?
Yep.
I'm hoping.
Is this picture going to be here, Clarion? Okay. It's like next Thursday still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look straight ahead.
Yeah, baby.
Have a good night.
gonna be very jealous that you do that secret, not him. He'll be very jealous. My mom's all my secrets, darling. No, you can't do that. Mom, why are you so worried about my boyfriend? She's gonna get all my secrets.
Now everybody knows.
Yeah, I mean, you could actually in that subway service.
But it's all gone.
All right, moving on, good news. Guess it's talked about.
Thank you, Board, for having us. I want to say thank you to my team. This is just a small sampling. Come up, so I'm not alone. Of our PTO at the elementary school level, and I'm so super proud of them. They work so hard and do amazing things, and they have such heart for our schools and our kids, and it shows greatly. And this is not just fun fair. We've got trivia night and book fairs and spirit wear and school supplies, and I don't know, they do a lot. They do a lot for our schools, and I also want to thank the community and the schools for supporting us so that we can in turn support the schools, and it's my great pleasure to say we've raised the most in recent years as far as I know, and we're giving the elementary schools $40,000 tonight. Thank you so much, administration. They've been incredibly supportive to our team, and we're so honored. Yes.
I'm so glad.
Thank you.
And we get that like quintessential. Oh, yes, we are.
Dan, you guys take on with my camera for our Facebook page.
Should be. Oh.
Perfect.
Alright, moving on, we got a annual report from food service for Chad.
I do not have $40,000 yet.
Nobody's got food for everybody?
Kate. Good evening. So just to give you a quick overview of some things, our K-8 schools, all 5 of those schools, Ball-Chatham Elementary, Leadville Elementary, Intermediate and Middle School, all participate in the National School Lunch and School Breakfast programs. In addition, Ball Elementary also participates in the special milk program. That's for their pre-K program there. All of our schools, all the K-8 schools that are operating the National School Lunch and School Breakfast program do operate offer versus serve. It's basically a program that allows the kids to deny or choose certain items from their meals. The elementary schools transitioned for lunch last year, and then they just transitioned their breakfast program this year. GIS and GMS have been doing OBS for the offer versus serve for at least 5 or 6 years now. At those K-8 schools, we're able to, from our claiming data we send to the State Board of Education, we're able to look at what our free and reduced eligibility is at all the schools. Some of the schools went up from last year, some of the schools went down overall. For the district, we are up just a little bit overall when you average out the schools, but we did, like I said, we did have a few schools drop down and go up based on those prior claiming year. A number of years ago, a program was brought in as far as the operating lunch program designed to help provide some healthier meals to the students. Unfortunately, it did cause the program to suffer quite a bit. 2014-2015 range were our lowest claiming years. Last year, we were lucky to raise our claims up 15,000 meals over that prior year, over 2016-17. And for this current year, it looks like we're on pace to be up another 7,000 to 8,000 meals for all of our K-8 schools. As far as looking at the high school is not part of the school lunch or school breakfast program as far as the federal programs go. However, we do honor the free and reduced eligibility guidelines. So if a student at the high school meets whatever the federal guidelines are for the National School Lunch or School Breakfast program, we go ahead and provide them a free meal, or we provide the meals at a reduced cost at the appropriate rate. They are mainly a la carte based food service. We don't have like a meal program or a set meal, so most of the students are coming in and purchasing different items and building them together. Shelley does a fantastic job over there. She's serving a ton of kids in a short amount of time, and she offers quite a few options for the kids to make sure that she can keep them all happy. Illinois report card data, you can kind of see what they had us as for 2018 enrollment at Glenwood High School, 1403, with a free and reduced percentage of 17.7%. Look at our staffing. We have 6 full-time cooks or managers, 14 full-time cooks. We have 1 open position currently, that's at GIS, and that's actually a cook/cashier position, along with 44 part-time cooks, cashiers, cafeteria supervisors, and then we have 4 open positions, as you can see, all GMS and GHS are the open positions. Some of the changes or updates that we put into place for this current school year, as I mentioned, the elementary schools all switched over to offer versus serve this year. Again, offer versus serve, it helps to, the idea is to help cut down on waste so that students are selecting the items that they really truly want to eat. We've also started implementing USDA approved share tables or share buckets. Any products that remain sealed, unopened, untouched by human hands is allowed to be provided to students as a second serving, or can be used later in the day as a snack for after school programs, whatever we really want it to. But that also helps cut down on some of the waste and some of the product that we're throwing away. We just started piloting some breakfast carts at Ball Elementary and Glenwood Middle School. Glenwood Middle School is kind of setting up a remote site for theirs right at the front of the school. And I would say the first few days, Christine and Chelsea can probably kind of testify this. The first few days were a little slow, but every day Sabrina would give me a text. Sabrina's the manager over at Glenwood Middle School. Every day she's proud of it. She's saying, hey, we serve 5 kids, we serve 10 kids, we serve 20 kids. So we're increasing the contact with students and maybe bringing in some kids that weren't eating breakfast in the morning. At Ball Elementary, we're actually doing a grab-and-go option. So their staff is setting up right by the front door. Kids come in, grab the meal, and they take it to their classroom. And I do want to say thank you to Tricia. She's been very supportive, along with Holly, stepping in and kind of letting this get going and supporting the food service staff there. Also been updating menus, try to rotate in new product to make sure that we keep from having what we call menu fatigue, from seeing the same things over and over and over again. So we're trying some new products and mixing with some new things. We also implemented a electronic claim submission process, which for auditing purposes makes it really clean, prevents any errors because it's basically going straight from our point of sale system, and I upload it straight to the state of Illinois, and then they don't have to question it, and they don't have to worry about it as far as the accuracy goes. So budget status, as of right now, this is as of March 2019. You can see what our revenues are. and then is in regards to our expenses, and then our current positive balance. Now, please note that asterisk there. There's always a delay in the expenses that come through, so there's some expenses that we have not are not on the books yet. So that $200,000 isn't really accurate as of right now, but once we all balance it out, we are on pace to again be in the positive for food service, just like we were last year. Positive impacts on the budget. Again, the offer versus serve is important. Portion control, training and guidance, and trying to get consistency from site to site. The use of a fruit and vegetable packaging system. That was through a grant through the Ball-Chatham Education Foundation. Allows us to package the fruits and vegetables and seal them so that they can either be reused, saved, or handed out at a later date so that we're not throwing away lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. Last year we did price adjustments across the district for a la carte items, trying to balance things out so that we have district staff to go from site to site. They're not paying one price at one location, another price at another location, so we're trying to balance that out. In addition to, we balance out, or we update our pricing based on USDA guidelines, it's the paid lunch equity pricing guidelines, which we're required to follow. Last year we were going to fall behind, so we put a price increase that will hopefully stay in place for another 1 to 2 years. It's all based on what the USDA says. And then in addition, the increase in the meals and the student participation also helps cover costs. As far as potential needs and expenses, we do have quite a few things that are aging in the district. Warmers and ovens need to be replaced. Reaching coolers, walk-in coolers all need continued maintenance. Milk and drink coolers that we have within the district. Right now we contract with Prairie Farms, but there's our aging, and we're going out for bid right now, so there's a potential, depending on who gets the bid, we may have to replace some drink coolers and products, or things to store products throughout our facility. Other items we need, preparation tables and general miscellaneous equipment. In addition to, we could use increased staffing. The perfect example is the breakfast carts. The second breakfast options we're using requires additional man hours, additional staffing, because we're pulling staff away from where they're normally stationed. But definitely, last year's increase in meals and this year's increase in meals, we could use some more support as far as that goes. Now for some good news. All 3 of the elementary schools were awarded the Healthy U.S. School Challenge Bronze Level Award. That gives them a $500 monetary award. Basically, they had to meet some, in addition to the current meal pattern guidelines, they had to meet some higher standards, which is how they received the award. Number of grants we received this year. Dollars for Dairy grant. That allowed for purchase of 2 reach-in coolers at the middle school. Prior to that, we were just using the Prairie Farms coolers, which didn't display the dairy and milk products very well. So these glass door coolers, they're out in the open, allows the students to go up and self-select the items that they like. We had $10,000 breakfast grants is what we used to purchase the breakfast carts for Ball Elementary and Leavenworth Middle School, and we still have some money remaining from that, so we're trying to get some more items in to help support that program. We just received news a couple weeks ago that we received the Salad Bars to Schools grant that provided us with 3 salad bars for all the elementary schools. The elementary schools were using what we called mini salad bars off to the side, or some tabletop salad bars, or maybe a salad bar that wasn't appropriate for elementary age students. So the salad bars we received were all low height, easy access for K-4 students. In addition to it, came with all the supplies, tongs, pans, lids, ice pans, everything we could use. So that was, well, they didn't put a dollar value on that grant. Each one of those salad bars is probably worth $3,000 or $4,000, so it's a pretty good gift. And one of the other ones, the Active Schools grant through Target. This one, unfortunately, I hate to say I forgot about this one, that I applied for it. It was basically for physical fitness equipment, and then lo and behold, a check came in the mail for $1,000. So that was kind of a bonus. That one we haven't expended yet, but we're looking to try to get some supplies into the schools for that, how easy for the K-4 schools. And then I mentioned this earlier, the Ball-Chatham Education Foundation grant worth about $6,000 to purchase the fruit and vegetable packaging system that we're using throughout the district, and that was for all the schools, even through the high school, they're using that system now. It presents the food really well and also keeps the food from spoiling and allows us multi-use through services where prior to, if they would have cut the fruit and vegetables, the bags that we used weren't sealed, so the fruit or vegetables would go bad a lot more quickly. And then finally, we just had our Illinois State Board of Education Administrative Review just this April. The main focus was on Chatham Elementary, but when they do this, they're kind of using Chatham Elementary as a guideline to see if we're doing everything correctly at all other locations that are in the National School Lunch or School Breakfast Program. When they're looking at this, they review past and current meal service records and menus to make sure we're in compliance. They do on-site observation to make sure that when they're serving, they're doing everything correctly, and meal portions or serving sizes are meeting the guidelines. They look at our benefit determination processes and how we're verifying that households are eligible for the benefits they're receiving. And then they also check to make sure that we're in compliance with a la carte pricing requirements. So when we look at what we sell within the district, again, it doesn't necessarily apply to the high school, but when we look at the middle school and the items that they sell in addition to the meals, there is a pricing requirement. We have to make sure that we're covering our costs plus. So they look at that as part of the review also. And then in that quotations there, this is from the ISB monitor that reviewed us this year. One of the best reviews I've done in this district. She's been doing this for 27 or 28 years. She's visited here 7 or 8 times, 6 or 7 times, somewhere in there. And she was very happy with where the district was compared to where it is now. And I wish that Donnell and her crew were here because they did a fantastic job prepping for that. They did everything I asked. They listened to what needed to be done and they got it done. So fantastic job to Kim and the crew over there and Steve and Donnell and everything. They really knocked out of the park.
Next month?
What's that?
Could they come next month?
Could they come next month? You want them to come again? Oh, that's food service staff? No, I can make them come here. Sure. I always give an open invitation if they want to show up.
Okay, that's
Yep,
fine.
yep.
You know.
Any questions at all?
Do you want to talk about the cooperative agreement, or is that a little premature at this time?
Little premature.
Okay.
Little, not a final decision has been made.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
I don't have a question for that comment. You had a slide in there and you said, and now for the good news. Well, I thought the whole thing was good news. So,
Well, I was trying to really point out the really obvious good news.
but just for benefit of the new board members, before Chad got here, we were running about $150,000 deficit. Of course, we are at consternation. We're going to spend money to hire a guy. We're already losing money. And you've just done a wonderful job. And it isn't like you just sit on your laurels. Every year you bring us a new idea. And we appreciate that.
Thank you. And again, if it wasn't for the staff at each of the schools doing what they needed to do, it still wouldn't have gotten done. So, hats off for that.
Kudos. I talked to the state. I've had follow-ups with review teams, and he's just not up here putting those statements on the board. They convey to me just what a wonderful job you do and your staff does. Come out on the names of the people, and it's just phenomenal what the turnaround we've seen. So that's just, I like third-person compliments for somebody that's directly from the state coming in and just saying what a wonderful job you and your entire staff. Thank you.
Chad, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on, 4.5, this is where anybody good that's got anything they want to bring before the school board concerning an agenda item. An opportunity to come up and speak for about 5 minutes.
You want me over here?
Yes, Mayor, absolutely.
I'm Dave Kinsey. I'm the village president in Chatham. I wanted to stop by before Dwayne and Steve and Greg all graduate from their service at the school. And thank you, gentlemen, for everything that you've done. We certainly appreciate the service that you put in. I know what kind of time and commitment it takes for anybody to serve on any board. Oftentimes it's thankless time, it's difficult time. But we're proud of our schools in Chatham. We're proud of what you guys all have done. It makes selling our town a lot easier for me, and of that I'm greatly appreciative. It's a credit to all the administration and especially to all the teachers and the care and work that you all put into our kids every single day. You definitely are a gem of our town, so that's greatly appreciated. So I wanted to take the opportunity on behalf of the village to thank you, gentlemen, and all the work that you've done, all the help that you've given to me as village president, and the increase in cooperation and collaboration that we've seen between the school district and the village over the last few years. I think it really speaks to your commitment, and it makes things a lot easier. Also would like to wish Kyle and Steve and Patrick good luck. Enjoy it. Thank you also for what you're about to step into. and I'm going to leave my cell phone number behind for you guys, so when you need to call somebody and say, what did I do? I will be there, but that's more for the invitation to continue the collaboration that we've had going on with the village. I wish you the best of luck, and we're right down the street for you, and a phone call away at any point in time. So thank you for everything that you guys have done, and that you gentlemen will do. It's much appreciated. And I'm in the middle of another meeting, so I will.
All right, anybody else? Got anything they want to bring before the board? Agenda items? Okay, then, hearing none, we're going to move on to consent agenda items, 5.1 to 5.10. Anybody wish to pull anything? Any others? I need a motion to approve 5.1, 5.2, 5.4, 5.10 as presented.
How many times?
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Burke,
Yes.
Beerus,
Yes.
Seer, Wood, yes, Graven,
Yes.
Yes. 5.3, minutes from the finance committee meeting.
So Susan and I wanted to point out that it's a little vague in the minutes, and it's about the 1 cent sales tax that just passed this past year, that the school district will be getting proceeds from. And we quietly made a commitment as a board that at least a third of that would go toward retiring debt, a third would go toward infrastructure, and a third would go toward basically saving for, we'll probably need a new building at some point. Don't know, but that was kind of our logic. You can't see the future, but you gotta prepare for it. So Susan and I kind of wanted to explain, and Charlotte here,
Yeah,
help me please.
okay.
But we just kind of wanted to point out to the community kind of how this is gonna flow, as Charlotte told us in committee meeting. Proceeds will start to come in October of
Correct.
this year.
Mhm.
And when we've committed a third, it's kind of hard to know what that third is. We don't need somebody saying you're too much or you're too little. So our recommendation as a finance committee was that we wait the full year, and then the following February is when we would start to disperse. Did I say all that right?
You did. The money has to be in hand before you can make any kind of abatement for taxes, for example. And that abatement has to be filed no later than the end of February. And we have outside services that would tell us what bonds that would impact. And then, and that's with Stifel and Noble. And then Chapman and Cutler would be the ones who would draw up the resolution to make sure that wording gets correct. And then it goes on file. Those monies then are transferred out of Fund 60, where the sales tax will be accounted for, and it immediately moves to the debt service fund in Fund 30. And that's where we will pay those bills from when they come due, instead of the taxpayer having to pay them.
So there's that, and then we're in the fortunate position that we still have about, looks like almost 2.9 million left over from prior bond proceeds that we kind of have in reserve, where we're doing parking lot repairs and different odds and ends. So, Charlotte, you've done a wonderful job keeping us dialed in.
Thank
So we have a plan. We just kind of felt like we need to explain what our recommendation was. Susan? Good enough?
Yep, yep. And I will also say Charlotte does a wonderful job, and it's more than, there's so many aspects of running a district that have so many financial ramifications, and she does a wonderful job, so.
I do want to clarify for the new board members, when you talk about the excess funds from the bond proceeds, we were running against the clock on those monies needing to be expended. And we were allowed then by statute if we met all the goals of the original bond issuance, we could transfer those remaining monies into Fund 20, which is operations and maintenance. So those monies are set aside. They are still used on capital projects. We still have conditions that are tied to the original bond. So it can be for repair and maintenance, but it has to be capital repair and maintenance. And the life of those assets have to be at least 9.5 years to fall in line with the life of the bonds. So that money is there. It's going to be accounted for totally separate than the sales tax. The sales tax, every bit of that goes into Fund 60. That's where those expenditures will be tracked to be in compliance with the requirements of the sales tax referendum. Except those monies that the board chooses to transfer out into Fund 30 for abating taxes, the rest of those monies will set in Fund 60 for whatever repairs or new buildings the board decides.
Got all that?
Okay, do I have a motion then to
So
approve
moved.
5-3? Thank you. Second? Thank you.
Raymond?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Aaron? Rivera?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes. Okay, moving on, we have moved personnel consent items, they're listed as 81 to 46. We've moved them up ahead of new business, so we have a motion to approve them unless somebody would like to pull any of them.
I'd like to pull 8.3 and 8.4.
Okay.
3, 4, any others?
Yes, I'd like to pull, let's see, I would like to pull
31.
31, and also 8.18.
Any others? Not any, a motion to approve 81, 82, 85, 17, 819 to 30, 832, 46 presented. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Brewer?
Yes.
Rivera?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Aaron?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes. Okay, 3 then. We've got a resignation of GHS assistant.
Thank you. You're another one that we usually saw you when it was something we had to vote on and stuff. We could just go have a beer sometime now. But you were always well prepared, and as a board member, we really appreciate it. So we're really prepared.
Thank you. Welcome.
So, I mean, good luck, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We miss you, Dale.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so I would like to say the same thing. It's really not fun to hear, hear expulsion hearings in closed session, and Dale always did, a wonderful job. But I have something else. It turns out that my neighbor is Cliff Hathaway, and Cliff street with this Cheshire cat grin on his face. And I'm in my I'm weeding my garden and he walks across it. I go, uh-oh, what's happening? So, I want to tell you that I am so sorry that you're leaving. However, there is not a nicer man than Cliff Hathaway. So, I just want to tell you it eases the pain a little bit. And I also want to commend you because if I understand you correctly, you need to undertake all of the special ed classroom certification, everything, correct?
Eventually, yes.
Okay, so that confirms one of my other personal observations of you. You were always interested in learning, and you know the art of learning. And so I commend you because you know you didn't have to take on a new adventure of learning a new discipline. So congratulations to you. But also, I want to tell you, you were the most patient person on the tech committee when I did you were by far, it's like, you're safe, how can you do this?
It took a lot of focus. I appreciate your work, thank you.
Let him resign. I need a motion to approve 83. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you.
Yurevich?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Searing? Yes. Rush?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes, yeah, that's block D.
Thank you, sir.
8-4, resignation of GMS assistant principal.
So we don't know you maybe quite as well, but we can tell you hit the ground running. And so we appreciate what you've done there. Sorry, Ms. Glennon. I wish you luck. All I've heard, you've done a really good job.
Thank you.
I would say the same thing.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have a motion then to approve 8-4, the resignation of GMS assistant principal.
So,
Do you have a second?
Worley? Yes. Searing? Yurevich?
Yes.
Rush?
Yes.
Brewer?
yes.
Cox?
Yes. We have also 18, it's full retirement of DHS and multiple music teachers.
Yes, I would like to make a special comment about Jeff Emar.
That's right.
Anyway, I've attended the show choir presentations when they were at the high school, and my children didn't know how to sing, so to hear such beautiful voices and such a wonderful stage, see such a wonderful stage presence was really quite something to me. And he has the absolute devotion, loyalty, everything by the show choir community. So I do want to say that. And the second thing I want to say is you may or may not be aware, but they went to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it was a national competition, and they got runner-up. But the other thing that I want to say is that he was selected as the most outstanding show choir director. So that is a real honor for him, and
have a motion to approve 818?
I'll make that. Siren?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Vera?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Supervisor?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes. Okay, 831, we've got,
Anyways, could you say stand, scroll?
Sure. You probably can't tell I'm standing.
Okay, well, I wanted to welcome you to the Ball-Chatham School District as the new principal of CES, Chatham Elementary School. And you'll quickly learn all the jargon. We don't say Glenwood Elementary School, we say GES. You'll get the hang of it, Ball, etc. But in any event, I wanted to welcome you to our district and know that you will have the support of all the teachers at Chatham Elementary, and that Kim will always be, I shouldn't say this, but is it true that you would help?
I'm standing right here now. Where's that check go?
I mean, like,
I need an income to go.
I'm saying, like, afterwards, like, when you
Let's just say the volunteer appreciation program today. We're going to talk about volunteers. I sat down where the volunteers are and let everyone know that that's where I will be next year. So welcome. Thank you. I am so excited. We almost moved to Chatham last year. I don't know if you all know that, but we just love the feel of the town. We came from a town this size originally. I'm coming from Quincy now, which is a pretty big town for us. Our best friends that you call family live in Springfield and are in the education system over there. So we're going to, live near people that we really know and love. And I've already feel like the staff that I met are going to be really great for me, and I hope I can be great for them too. So thank you.
Well, great, thank you.
Could you please stand?
Yes,
Sal?
sorry, I didn't know.
No.
That was the appropriate time.
Well,
so.
when you said that you were resigning.
Maybe I didn't miss something, but, yeah,
There was some discussion up there. Bill says I can talk off of the line item because I'm gone in about 10 minutes.
Well, I just want to say thank you to all of you for giving me the opportunity for this. I'm super excited. I've lived in this community for 10 years, and last year, whenever I was able to come on board as an administration, it's just been a blessing, and everybody, the teachers, community, staff, principals, everybody here has just been so supportive of me and this adventure, and I'm just so excited for the future. So thank you to you guys.
all right, so we got 831, employment of full-time CES principal. Motion to approve. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes. Brewer?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Vera?
Yes.
Siren?
Yes. Cindy, welcome. Ashley, good job. Thanks. What did I say?
Ashley.
I'm sorry, Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Did I call her Chelsea? Ashley, good job, Chelsea. All right, now we're moving on to new business. We got some election results from April 2nd. New board members in place, and we have minutes.
Okay.
All right, so moving on to 6.2. This is where we adjourn, sign, die. Have a motion?
I'll make that.
Go to second. Any further discussion?
Would any of the
Yes.
board members like to have any comments or give Doug an
Yes.
opportunity to?
Yes.
Yes, that's what we wanted to get the signs, the sign
I get to go first.
You get to go first. I'm not stopping you.
Going to the podium now.
Okay, I decided I would put a little levity on this, really, it's really a momentous occasion. And so, the one thing you'll notice is I'm wearing my garden boots. And I like to garden, and when you garden, you look at the soil, if you see something wrong with the soil, you know, you put your boots on and you go, go in the middle and you look around. So, okay, that's what these three gentlemen have done for years. And I'm going to start by saying Greg Uranevich has 6 years of service and work in. Steve is 8, I'm going to add it all up. Steve is 8 years, but I guarantee you his phone is going to be ringing for 2 more years in the future. So that makes it 10. And for Dwayne, it is 8 years. And so I'll give a little description of...
Susan, you are a CPA by trade, right?
Okay, so here's where I'm going to start out. Greg, you may recall that Greg was an integral person in issuing FOIAs to learn about how the district was not abiding by the OMA, Open Meeting Act. So I was going to bring like the first page of your FOIA, but then I decided no, that would be kind of ridiculous. But in addition to that, he was doing that. He was also the community member for this tech committee that I made reference to that Dale was on. And he also probably was grinding his teeth all along the way. And I will say that the FOIAs were very professionally handled by Betsy, and there were a ton of them. In any event,
Sorry, Betsy.
in any event, Greg has 2 children remaining in the district, so you're going to see him around. And why you can come to the board meeting anytime you want. Board meetings. We can share a seat,
Awesome.
if you want. Okay. So, so that makes it 6 years, because he was doing all this stuff beforehand. Dwayne, okay. Now, Dwayne has, we have sort of a storied history between Dwayne and me. Schools Not Schools is something that Dwayne lit the fire under this grassroots organization of Schools Not Schools. And we attended, there was a group of people, we didn't know one another. It was pouring down rain after the meeting. We were standing down on the front stoop, and Dwayne said, okay, we gotta get going on this. And that was a Monday night. And by Thursday night, we were meeting at our house, my house, and we were organizing our action plan. We had no action plan. We were flying by the seat of our pants. Although you did try and put together some action plans, I remember that. We were all sitting at my dining room table. Okay, so we also passed out a lot of flyers along the way, and I didn't dig up the numbers on the pool, but let me just tell you the present value of our pool payments, if it had gone through, would really be scary to relate to you. So you pouring down rain, and Dwayne is saying, we got to get going on this. So you're right. effort to get more transparency, abiding by, key legal, school laws, purchasing, letting of contracts, so he was very key. He was also on the finance committee for 4 years, and he spent hours and hours catching up on and learning about school finances. He also served on the facilities and grounds committee, and literally Steve and Dwayne would walk the mud to look at various issues. Whatever they were, they would talk about it, and Mike Dobbs, they'd all get it organized between them. And I would just listen quietly and not understand what they were talking about. So Dwayne, I count 9 years, because the way I figure it was, 8, 2011 to 2019, correct? Yeah. Okay, so there's 8 years, and so now we're up to 14 years. Now, Steve.
Just real quick, your 5 minutes.
Okay, so basically, now there's really no quick summary for describing Steve, his hard work, his commitment to the district, commitment to the community, commitment as a person, and to his honesty. So, I just have to say, the first 4 years, what transpired among his first 4 years? Well, the first 2 years, I can tell you, he was under an incredible amount of pressure to vote yes on the pool. He was the only person who voted no. And during those first 2 years of his first term, I'm sure he was on the phone a tremendous amount. The last 2 years, I know he was on the phone a lot, because he was trying to figure out if the district could claw back some monies from 2 projects. One was Amoresco, and the other was AOS. And I just have to assure you that this gentleman worked very, very hard. And, I can say with full faith that Steve did everything possible to try and find some legal redress. Okay, so then, now the past 4 years he served as president. And it's an honor to be elected president for 4 years. It's really an honor, and I think one should recognize that. Now maybe that means that you were a glutton for punishment too. I don't know. Okay, in any event, what I do want to say is that he shepherded the turnaround for the last 4 years, and we have made a tremendous amount of improvement. He's took the lead on the interviewing and screening of the superintendents. He was involved in several of the negotiations. He was on the facilities and grounds committee. He did policies committee. But here's the thing that I would just like to summarize. Probably more than anything else, he was a listener to all the different people that spoke to him. He kept their confidences. He is a man of high high moral ground, and everybody knew it, so they could talk to him about it, and, you know, talk to Steve and find out, and he would say what he could say and not say what he couldn't say. Now, okay, so, what else? Now, this is my own little, short synopsis. I never had so much fun as reading and learning about the agricultural industry through Dwayne and Steve. I mean, that was an aspect I never knew anything about, and they taught me a lot about it. And they taught the sixth graders too for that one class, the A class. I would imagine a lot of those sixth graders had never even seen what a combine looked like. Because prior to my joining the board, I had never seen what a combine looked like either. And then I got to ride in it. And, you know, it's like sheer high tech. And so it was really fun. So in closing, there are thousands and thousands of hours represented by these two gentlemen's work, and I want to say thank you. And it's going to be great to see you on the street and say, hey, what's happening? You know, what's going on? And I'm sure that will happen. So, congratulations and thank you. Okay. In any event, I'm taking off my boots as soon as I go back and sit down. But this is the case. You know, a lot of stuff was resolved by putting on boots.
That was a warm-up. I've got about 40 minutes.
Yeah, well, no,
Go ahead.
So, and I'm just gonna see if I can go longer.
Sorry. That's history.
No, so, you know, when I came on this board, these three were already on the board. Good night, Greg. I just want to thank them. You know, I didn't know these guys at all. They didn't know me, and I would like to thank the additional time they spent when I would have questions or need some help understanding things. You know, there are things that you think you know that until you're sitting at the table, you don't actually know. And these guys were always willing to lend an ear, help out, and devote an additional amount of their time to doing so. And I would just like to personally thank you two and the ghost man on third.
I don't want to take much time. One sentence. Thank you very much for helping me to learn the materials. Hopefully I can do a better job in another 3 years. Thank you very much.
Well, I hadn't prepared anything. But, it'll just take a minute, This will be short and sweet. As I look around this room, I see all the talented, intelligent, and honestly committed employees. And it heartens me to say, I really believe Chatham schools are in a really good place right now. So when this group got elected to the board, we knew we had a mess on our hands. However, it was the right thing to do to engage as a community member in helping clean it up. And honestly, it's gone well. And that is a testament to this man right here. Yes, it is. And the team he's assembled here. You all. Wow. What a group. And Josh, are you here? That even includes you.
I appreciate that.
So to quote Kim Sepich last month, the goal is the look-back test, right? is in better shape than when we got here. And I hope the resounding answer, mission accomplished. So, heartfelt best wishes. I will miss you, but I'll see you around.
I can't top any of the specialties. That was tremendous with the history. What I wanted to do was I try to look, if you walk into my office, you see a lot of inspirational posters from historical figures in the past. I'm a big believer in sentiment and suggestive material in regards to the direction you go in your life and the decisions you make. So Successories is a place that I frequent. If you have or have not, I don't know. But I really wanted to capture something as a gift for our three-party board members, because I think the sentiment I share the same as everybody up here. I've learned a tremendous amount from each one of these gentlemen that are stepping down after several years of service. I did double your pay, did I not? I did. The hours they put in is just unbelievable. I mean, you really don't know. I know that people come to board meetings and they come and sit here for a couple hours, but the committee meetings, just the events they go to, CACC, it's just an enormous amount of time and commitment. So I truly appreciate you working with me as a team to accomplish a lot of this. Right behind you on the backside there are some gift bags. Yeah, thank you so much. And on these gift bags are posters that I had, and inscribed at the bottom tell their years of service in the district. And but I want to read the quotes that are on them, because they are selected for each of the individuals that are receiving them. The Service Frame Award is for Mr. Urevich. And the quote on it says, "The high road to service is traveled with integrity, compassion, and understanding. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." And I can say that about every board member, but I really enjoyed the conversations we had, and everything, and every item that you've ever brought forward was always focused around kids and staff, and what can we do to be better. So I certainly know how much you care, and I believe they do as well. So thank you so much. Absolutely. Dwayne Sarin is somebody that, a man of conviction. If there's anything that goes with Mr. Sarin, it's conviction. He means what he says, and he says what he means. And that's why I've selected the Integrity Friend Award. And the quote on that is, "Do what you know is right, always. With commitment to your deepest convictions, you will stand tall against time and tide." And I think that adequately describes your character and what you're about and what you've brought to this board. So I want to thank you, and I want you to hang that crown. Steve Kopp is a Vision Framed Award, and as I think was indicated, alluded to earlier, it's tough to be a board member, but it's also tough to be a board president. And the quote was, "A leader's job is to look at the future and see the organization not as it is, but as it can become." And I think that's what Steve has done in these 8 years, or should I say 10 or 12 years, as indicated earlier. Steve saw that there were a lot of great things going on in the district. Make no bones about it. It's a large district with a lot of wonderful things. But he saw what it could become, and they weren't afraid to address the issues that were out there. And I can stand here, because I work throughout the state on a lot of different levels and a lot of different organizations, and work with a lot of different board members. And the fact remains is that Steve did see this district, and his vision was not what it was, but what it was become. And he lived that every single day. So I want to thank you.
Anything you want to say?
Good luck, guys.
I just want to say I appreciate everybody trusting in me to look out made a lot of good friends since I've been on this board. A lot of good people in this district. I'm gonna miss them. Not gonna miss the meetings. So, thank you. There's no further comments. We need a motion to approve. And we have a second, so.
Brewer,
Yes.
Rush,
Yes.
Siren,
Yes.
Porter, yes, Heritage,
Yes.
Pat.
Yes. All right, everybody, we're adjourned for a while. There's some cakes and refreshments and stuff. Enjoy it.
All right, we're gonna get started.
All right, at this time, I'd like to introduce Rick Renzenbach from Marion Haynes Stevens, and he's going to give the oath of office for our newly elected members, and Shree will also participate as well, but we could do the whole board.
I think the last time we did this, the whole board
Let's do that.
was resworn. I recommend that you do it again.
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. Please stand and raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I do solemnly affirm.
I do solemnly affirm
That I shall faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Ball-Chatham Community Unit School District Number 5.
that I shall faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Ball-Chatham Community Unit School District Number 5.
In accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois.
In accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
I further affirm that.
I further affirm that.
I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets.
I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets.
I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board.
I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board,
while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
while respecting the privacy of students and employees.
I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual.
I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual,
And that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting.
and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting.
And I shall abide by majority decisions of the board.
And I shall abide by majority decisions of the board,
While retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
Congratulations and good luck.
Okay,
Need
I need a motion to elect, President Pro Tem. I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Okay. Phipps,
Yes.
Bryant, Worley. Wait, I didn't say who I wanted. Oh, Bill Brewer.
Well, hold on, we're doing
No,
This
President.
is,
Pro Tem.
President
Oh,
Pro
okay,
Tem.
that's right, that's right.
So, motion to elect Doug president.
Yeah, that's right, yes. All right, Barry, sorry.
Yes.
Bureau.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes. You're in charge, Doug.
I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy this.
Hey, it's great.
No, at this time, I would like to open the floor to make a motion to seek position president of Ball-Chatham.
I make the motion for Bill Brewer to serve.
Okay, do I have any other nominations?
Bureau.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Worley. Yes. Brian.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Yes. Apologize for my voice and coughing tonight. At this time, I'd like to ask for nominations and motions for vice president of the board. I will nominate Susan Worley for the role of vice president.
I second.
Any other nominations for vice president? With no other nominations, roll call.
Hicks.
Yes.
Bureau.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Worley. Yes. Brewer.
Yes. And at this time, I would like to seek nominations for secretary of the Board of Education. Please feel free to nominate.
I would like to nominate Patrick Phipps for secretary of the board.
I'll second that. Any further nominations for board secretary? Ashley?
Bureau.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Worley. Yes. Brian.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Okay, the numbering may be off here since we reorganized a few things, but we're moving on to 7.5, selecting board representatives for board committees. We need to act on a couple of these for sure this evening, as they will have meetings coming up. I'm trying to find the meeting dates, but we can come back to that in a moment. The first, you know, historically, we've, as a board, have had 2 representatives on many of these committees, and if it's the will of the board, it would be my preference to still have 2 representatives. I do want to make note, though, that just because someone is quote-unquote assigned to a committee, any board member can go to any meeting that they would like to go to at any time. The idea of having a couple folks assigned to committees would be that we can then bank on those 2 individuals being present at those meetings and being available to report back out to the board what's going on in those meetings in open session. I'm open to discussion on this, and we can do this, but there is a finance and a facility and grounds committee coming up. It would be my recommendation as one of 6 that are here tonight, that Susan continue her services on the finance committee, and that we would add Pat to the finance committee. That would be my recommendation. However, it is the will of the board to do something else. Now's the time in an open meeting to discuss that. Also, we can change these at different times down the road if that is what we need to do. We just need to do it in open session.
I think it's a good idea. Pat Phipps, the committee meetings are open meetings, and Pat attended the last one, so I think it's good. We need new board members to get up to gear fast on all the finances, although Charlotte's here to help.
And again, if someone, just because I recommended it, doesn't mean that's the way. But let's have a discussion about it. If other people feel strongly one way or another, this is not deciding everything for everyone. I don't know that we need a motion and a vote on those.
There,
It's gonna be all one.
Okay. The second committee is facility and grounds. Historically, Steve and Dwayne were assigned to that committee, so we have 2 vacancies there. based on historical background, I would like to recommend Steve to serve on that, and I would like to seek a volunteer or someone who is interested to also serve on that committee as the second.
Are there, how many, these are the two standing committees I'm familiar with. Are there other ones that we're going to be assigning folks to tonight?
We can hold on the others, but I am gonna go through what those others are, and I am gonna open it up for folks that might be interested in those. These are the standing committees that are regularly once a month.
Well, we can have, for example, we can have 2 board members attend the upcoming facilities and grounds meeting, and they can, you know, we need to hold the meeting though, because there's lots going on. There's lots going on, so, we can make the assignment tonight, or we can.
And again, we can change the assignments next month if we need to.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I'll volunteer for building facility ground.
Okay. And again, you know, we can go to any meetings we want to. This is not, we have 4 other committees that we need to work on here. They don't meet as frequently as those 2. So that being said, I understand we're passing out lots of assignments and responsibilities tonight. But the CACC committee, historically that had been Brandon and Steve that served on that. Brandon is not here tonight, but my read is that he would be happy to continue in that service, but we would need a second person, whether it's tonight or next month, to be available for that.
I wouldn't want to do those things.
Okay. The other committees are policy, and again, I have suggestions, but they don't have to change and don't feel obligated to. I pick people based on what I thought their background suited them for, but they don't have to do it. Policy committee, my thoughts were Srini being in education and Kyle being a lawyer, that those would be good to utilize their skills on those committees. But if that's not working for your all schedules, we can figure that out.
I will volunteer for policy.
Okay. Next is technology. If there's someone that's really wanting to be on technology, please speak up. I was thinking that Pat and Srini would be good in this role. These other 2 have been Dwayne and or Susan at different times. It's the division representative and the IASB delegate. These aren't immediate needs tonight, but there's something that I need you all to be thinking about and asking questions about what those potentially would entail for you all. All right. I need a motion to, at this moment in time, go with those committee assignments.
I'll second.
Phipps?
Yes.
DeRush?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Bryant?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes. Looks like 7-6. We have to approve some board policies and rules and regulations for the student handbooks. Someone speak into this, Doug?
Yes.
No, that's not.
No, this is 9-1 and 9-2.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because we've done it. We're at 9-1.
Sorry, I'm not happy. You follow me.
So, and again, the agenda got reorganized, so I apologize for the new board members. 7-7 communication. We will, you guys will need to help out administration in filling out a bio. You know, what you would like to be posted on the website with your picture, as well as, there's your school email there as well. And you can look at the ones that are already up if you want, or just come up with something on your own, but I would like to get those up, sometimes sooner than later. just to recognize the new board. All right, now I think we're to 9-1. New business, approval of school-wide waivers.
Yes, that is me. All right, this is the third year in a row we've approached the board for a waiver regarding our Title I school-wide programming. 3 years ago, the federal government provided guidance that allowed schools that are above the 20% poverty rate but below the threshold of 40% that is required for school-wide programming, the option to apply for a waiver. We have decided at our 3 elementaries that that school-wide waiver really benefits our students, benefits our services. It allows more flexibility. All 3 of our elementary schools are above that 20% rate, as well as our district comes in at about 22% right now. So we are before you tonight to ask for the waiver to be able to submit it to the State Board of Education. And I'll be back next month asking for approval on our new consolidated district plan that the State Board of Education has just released and required.
So this is a waiver just for the elementary school, the 3 elementary schools?
Yes, currently those are the only 3 schools that we service with Title I funds.
And how does it provide more flexibility? What is the waiver, what rules are we seeking a waiver?
So since we are below the 40% threshold, we are required to be what's called a targeted assistance program, which means that only the students who qualify under these terms are allowed to benefit from our Title I funds that were allocated. We receive about $325,000 annually for Title I funds, where school-wide programming allows you to service the entire school, all of the students, all of the curriculum, and it just allows you to do really what you need for all students within the building.
So it gives you flexibility on spending, how to spend the fund.
Absolutely.
Any further questions or discussion on this for Jen?
This is, we've done this in the past, Jen.
This is the 3rd year now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
I move to approve the waivers.
Second.
Yes, Fitz?
Yes.
Rudolph?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Bryant?
Yes. Okay, moving on to 9.2, approval of student discipline handbook in 1920 school year.
Okay, thank you for the time, guys. If anything, the majority of all the updates that you're seeing across all the handbooks are model student handbooks from the Illinois Principals Association, is what we use, as I know with board policy is on a lot of them as well. So you're going to see a majority of the policy changes that are indicated in the student handbooks are either going to be because of matching board policy, matching the model student handbook updates, which are from the Illinois Principals Association. There is the elementary school. There is some language updates in regards to meal costs and payments, but that is as per guidance of Mr. Martell. Fines, fees, and waivers charges across all books of student handbooks of all the schools. From this is Montgomery. That's language in regards to fees and technology fees. Administration of medication and matched board policy, and a majority of everything is model student handbook language updates. One of the things that we do with these types of opportunities to speak about the handbooks is in terms of speaking to any changes to the disciplinary section of student handbooks. The Glenwood High School handbook only has something that would impact disciplinary procedures or processes that would exist within that, is that we are implementing a very similar policy, a new policy at Glenwood High School to match Glenwood Middle School, and that is book bags, handbags, and purses. A policy that states that they are to be left in the student's locker during the school day, and exceptions to the rule are to be made for students who require special accommodation. Athletic bags and equipment are to be left in a designated room or athletic wing during the school day. That will be as per our athletic director. In terms of any other procedures, there are no new procedures and policies for Glenwood High School. We did make a conjunction again, and I'd like to give courtesy to who wrote the policy, Ms. Stiefler, the Narcan policy. Who was that written by?
Our nurse, Emmy Banks.
Emmy Banks. Emmy Banks at Glenwood Middle School wrote a section on Narcan use. Narcan use, as a quick descriptor of that, that is a opioid antagonist, which basically reverses opioid overdoses. And it is at a direction of Mr. Allen, of the Director of Safety and Security in the district, that we train everybody in the use of Narcan in terms of security staff and administration, just to be on the extra precaution of being as safe as possible with ease of use of opioids and the ease of use of acquiring them by students through prescription medication. Other than that, in terms of Glenwood Middle School,
A lot of their changes that you see within here, the one change that we perceive to be a disciplinary process is that they added drawstring bags to the new policy that the high school is adopting versus backpacks, drawstring bags, and backpacks. That's the only addition they've changed in the middle school to match us. The Narcan section is in the policy as well. And they have removed the tiered disciplinary consequences and sequences of their disciplinary processes to match Senate Bill 100, which is matching a lot of the high school's current handbook language. All other handbook changes are either model student handbook or policy or recommendations from either Mrs. Montgomery or Mr. Martin.
Any questions or thoughts from the board?
Very good summary.
Thank you. We need a motion to approve. Second? Second. Ashley?
Worley? Yes. Bryant?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Bureau?
Yes.
Phipps?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes. Before we jump to closing communications, just to do a little cleanup, we need to go back and grab 7.6. 7.6 is the current board approving the policies and rules and regulations of the preceding board, i.e. student handbooks. Any discussion about this from the board? If not, I need a motion. Go ahead, Kyle has something.
What, yes, I didn't see this one. We're approving the current, the board policies. We're basically carrying them over into the new board as well as the student handbook.
Yes, this is, and if I'm explaining this wrong, someone please correct me, but we are, for continuity's sake, we are keeping the policies that existed 30 minutes ago in place right now. That doesn't mean that this board cannot take action to change, amend, and or adjust those policies, but that's just meaning that those policies are in place at this moment in time.
I would add that the district relies on CRESS, which is it's a subscription service under the Illinois Association of School Boards. They hire a slew of lawyers and they cross-reference the Illinois school code and they thoroughly do their job. That is not to say that sometimes the district has developed its own wording on certain policies. We did so, Randy, we made some personal district changes on safety and security, but for the most part, we review press, we say, okay, it looks good. And Dr. Wood always circulates the draft policy to whomever area that it applies to, so.
And a lot of times those updates out of press are just advising because they indicate that you're doing this maybe with policy.
Okay, I think I need a motion there.
I'll make that motion. Rush.
Yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Barry.
Abstain.
Worley. Yes. Bryant. Brewer.
Yes. Okay, 10-1, communications, future board meeting dates. This should be a list that goes through to you. Doug, are we missing facilities on there?
Mike, could we have a facilities plan in May? Okay,
We could have one, but I didn't have one scheduled.
We'll get a May meeting scheduled and send that out to the board.
Yeah, let's get one on the books. I'm sure there's things that can be discussed, but it'll give the new committee members of the board an opportunity to get acquainted to it.
So Mike, for that committee meeting, upcoming committee meeting, will you bring your, what you refer as your OMM
Yes.
schedule and
Yes.
provide a little bit more detail,
Absolutely.
basically use it as informational?
I'll bring everybody up to date.
That'd be great.
10.2, citizens' opportunity or visitors to address the school board concerning any topic. No one? With that, I'm going to take a chance on just clarifying a couple items here, just to make sure, that the new board members have everything they need. And Doug, I'm sure you probably already looked at this, but I need you guys to be on the lookout for your board emails, your access to board docs, and Doug, I'm sure, will get the mandatory training sessions lined up for you guys. I cannot recall if there's a certain number of days that those need to occur in, but I know there's a couple opportunities throughout the state to where if it doesn't fit into your schedule, you'll have some options there.
My school board association just sent out after they know that all the elections are occurring, so everybody's in the same boat. So they have some training scheduled over the summer, and there are several dates, so we'll do that.
I would also, if it is the will of the board, I would like to request that Doug seek out the Larry Dirks of the world or someone of that nature for him to provide a board workshop for the new board at some point over the summer, probably based on the calendar. We'd be thinking sometime later half of July into the early part of August, but definitely before the new school year starts. I also, I'm going to ask that Doug and Carrie, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second, I'm sorry, but I'd like to get those, some meeting dates that you all have had. I think historically, perhaps they've been quarterly. I'd certainly be available more than that if you guys all want to. My thoughts on it, we'll work around schedules certainly, but my thoughts would be that if we could maybe match those up like at 4 p.m. going into a board meeting night. If that would work, that would provide the opportunity to have discussion and talk about anything that may be pressing. If those dates don't work for you guys, though, I'm very flexible on that. Just kind of let us know. July will be here before we know it. And we only have meetings scheduled out through July, so I'd like the board to be thinking about their schedules in terms of meeting dates. My thoughts on that, if it's the will of the board, would be to be a little bit more, say it's the fourth Thursday of the month, or I'd like to set those up in a manner that is repeatable and people can plan out. I know the fourth Thursday wouldn't work for November, December, and March based on school calendar, but those months it could be a different Thursday.
Bill, can I bring up something while we're talking about calendars?
Sure.
If you go back to the meeting dates that's coming up, the board has to set a date for the public hearing for the amended budget in June. I have to put that notice in the newspaper and give the public 30 days to be able to come in and review that amended budget. And there's not 30 days between the regular meeting on May 23rd and on June 20th.
Okay, just we have to adjust that.
We'll have to change the dates. I just wanted to let everybody know that.
Yeah. So are you saying that we hold June true and adjust May, or adjust June later?
There will be no way I can have that amended budget ready before May 23rd.
So we'll have to push June back then. Okay.
I have a question, I think it falls into communications. So, just now that the three new guys are on the board, is there a board packet that goes out before every board meeting to the board members? Okay.
You'll get all of that.
That'll be in your board docs.
Okay, and when is that available when the agenda is posted for
A
open
few
meetings?
days before that, the board receives it a couple of days before that.
Okay.
Public receives it just for your review.
And again, logistically, how do we receive that, in an email or?
Yes, you'll receive an email letting you know it's live.
Did want to ask one more question to the board. Finance and facilities and grounds, those two meetings, I believe it's important to have board members at those meetings. And I understand that your guys' schedules are busy too, Charlotte, but I was hoping that we could kind of maybe move those times to maybe a little later in the afternoon, say 4 o'clock, for example, to allow the board members on those committees to be there. It's very challenging to get to a 1 o'clock meeting. I understand things happen at times, but I would like 4 p.m. to be the start time of those, unless the board sees otherwise. Additionally, if we can work on the calendars a little bit, kind of make those the week preceding or the week of the board meeting, just to kind of give the members opportunity to discuss at open session.
Actually, the committee meeting should occur before the week of the board meeting. Because the week of the board meeting is crazy busy. And also, if particularly finance, I believe we should keep that timing the same as Charlotte. It's fair when we ask her a question in finance and she needs to spend some time to get an answer that's going to be asked at the board meeting. We need to recognize that there are other demands. That's just my personal opinion, but.
You mean the timing the week before or 4 p.m.?
No, 4 p.m. is good. We have to go to 4 p.m. I mean, the week before the board meeting. Let's see, it's usually.
We meet the week before the board.
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so, but no committee meetings the week of the board meeting. It's too hard.
Fair enough.
So, I think, facilities and grounds at the first of the month and the finance committee the week before the board meeting works out pretty well.
Okay, adjournment. Need a motion to adjourn. Well, Susan, did you have something?
No, I was